We didn't. That was in the fall of '83, early September, late August, and so then we didn't hear anything back from them. And then we do our battle royals, so we had Andre the Giant through October, and then the winner of the battle royals would beat the world champion. And Hogan had a match. He'd won the battle royal, had a match with Bockwinkel, didn't win it. And then we had him booked in Christmas week was a big week for us. All our major cities were sold out, and they had 6-man tag team matches with Bockwinkel, Stevens, and Jerry Blackwell and Bobby Heenan in their corner against Brunzell, myself, and Hulk Hogan. And at that time, and we had to sign a non-disclosure with CBS. They wanted to do a Saturday night 2-hour special in April, and they wanted Bockwinkel and Hogan for a championship match. So Hogan, we had that whole week of Christmas. Hogan had gone to Japan right after our last battle royal in Phoenix, and he didn't show up in St. Paul that night. And my dad had got a letter 2 days before from Tampa, Florida. It said, "I'm not coming back." Signed Hulk Hogan. And Vern looked at the letter and he said, "Oh, Tampa, Florida." I mean, he knew Hogan was living in Minneapolis at the time. He said, "It's Eddie Graham." They were always pulling jokes on each other. So he just threw it away. And then Hogan didn't show up. So I called him after the St. Paul. I said, "Hey, man, what are you doing? Why didn't you show up?" "Well, I'm going to go work for the WWE starting in January." I said, "Well, business isn't done that way. There was, in wrestling, it was always your handshake was your contract. Nobody ever broke that till Hulk Hogan broke that. He didn't show up for those. And then what McMahon did, he started picking off our talent in the AWA. Nobody was under contract. And he got Gene Okerlund, our announcer. He got some more of our talent. Every time we got somebody really established, he'd grab them. And we battled him for a while, but pretty soon he went in and started buying TV time slots that we had in San Francisco and tried to get it in Denver, tried to get it in Minneapolis, couldn't. He got Winnipeg. He started buying the time, buying the show that we had a rating, a 24 rating with a 64 share of the audience on our syndicated program.
Wow.
And plus we were across Canada on TSN. So by getting Winnipeg, he got all of Canada from us. And he kept hitting us because he needed those big markets to make what he was trying to do work. And, the rest was history.
Would Hogan have won the title in April had he stayed?
No, he never got to that.
But if he had stayed, would he have won the title?
Certainly could have.
I wonder if you guys had any sort of regrets of not giving him the title sooner. Would he not have left? Do you think he still would have left anyway?
I think I don't know. He always says, I've talked to him since. He says, "I loved Minneapolis. I really wanted to stay." But Vince had, he told me that Vince was paying him more money to miss the towns than when he would have been there. If he'd have been there, I don't know if that was true or not, but that's what he said.
Wow.
And McMahon needed Hogan to make that thing work. Without him, they'd have never been able to do it.
I agree.
Hogan was in New York. I wrestled at Chase Stadium when he was wrestling Andre the Giant, and he had a horrible match that night. He was so bad. And I went out with Ricky Steamboat and Pat Patterson and Ricky's tag team partner at that time. And I was going back to the room, and I'm going down the hallway, and there's Hogan sitting in front of the door of his room. And I said, "What's the matter, big man?" He said, "I can't make it in wrestling." And I said, "Well, come to the AWA. You've got a lot of potential. You need to be groomed. You need to be worked with." So we put him in the 6-man tag matches with Jim and I. And we would tag him in when we had control. And, if he had the arm, we had the arm, they'd grab the arm, twist it, drop a leg on it, tag out. So he could get the flow of everything. And then Vern helped him with his interviews because he was failing in New York. And, you know, we got him to where he was bigger than big.
Yeah, that's where Hulkamania really started, AWA.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, without a doubt.
I agree, though. Without Hulk for Vince, I don't see. I mean, all those other guys are great, but you need that top tier guy who's the most charisma, like to be the top of the mountain, and then everybody else can fall underneath.
And they
He
all
was the
fall
guy.
in. And then once that, and they all wanted, and then he got the network TV, and all the wrestlers wanted to be on the network TV. Then they all started, Piper left where he was working in Charlotte, and Randy Macho Man, they got him out of Tennessee, and they just guys just kept coming in.